Jake Matthews pulled his worn baseball cap lower over his eyes as he settled into the corner booth of the McDonald's. His thick beard needed a trim, and his jacket had seen better days 3 winters ago. To anyone looking, he was just another homeless man trying to stay warm with a cup of coffee that cost him his last $2. But Jake was not what he seemed. He watched every person who walked through the glass doors. His eyes moved like a hunter tracking prey, but he stayed perfectly still. The other customers saw nothing special about him. A few teenagers whispered and pointed, probably making jokes. An older woman clutched her purse tighter when she walked past his table. Jake was used to this. It was exactly what he wanted. For 93 days, Jake had sat in this same spot. He came every morning at 7 and stayed until the dinner rush ended. He knew every worker by name, though they did not know his real one. Maria worked the morning shift and always smiled at him. Tony flipped burgers and hummed old rock songs. Beth managed the register during lunch and sometimes gave him free fries when her boss was not looking. They thought they were being kind to a man who had nothing. They had no idea they were feeding one of the most dangerous people on earth. Jake reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out what looked like an old, cracked phone. The screen was dark and the case was held together with tape. But when Jake touched it in a certain way, numbers and symbols appeared that no normal phone could show. The device hummed quietly, so softly that even Jake could barely hear it. The readings were getting stronger. 3 months ago, Jake's real employers had sent him here after their satellites picked up strange energy patterns. The patterns were not natural. They were not from any human technology. That left only one possibility, and it was the reason Jake spent his days pretending to be someone he was not. Aliens were coming to Earth, and this McDonald's was somehow important to their plans. Jake sipped his coffee and watched a young mother walk in with her son. The woman looked tired, like she had been working double shifts to pay the bills. Her boy was maybe 8 years old, with bright eyes and messy brown hair. He bounced with excitement as they got in line, probably happy to get a happy meal after a long day. Jake's device buzzed against his palm. He looked down at the screen and felt his blood turn cold. The numbers were spiking higher than they had in months, but the energy was not coming from outside. It was coming from inside the restaurant. More specifically, it was coming from the little boy. Jake had spent years learning to read the signs. He had trained with the best minds on the planet, learned secrets that most people could not imagine. The readings on his device told him something that would change everything. The boy was not completely human. Somewhere in his family tree, there was something else. Something that came from very far away. The boy probably did not know it. His mother definitely did not know it. But Jake's device could read the genetic markers that normal science could not detect. Jake watched as the mother and son found a table near the play area. The boy unpacked his Happy Meal and started building with the toy blocks that came inside. His mother checked her phone, probably looking at work emails or bills she could not afford to pay. They looked so normal, so innocent, so completely unaware that they were sitting in the middle of what might become a war zone. Jake's device buzzed again. This time, the readings were different. The energy signature was moving. Something was approaching the restaurant. From outside, Jake looked through the big windows that faced the street. 3 men in expensive suits were walking toward the McDonald's. They moved together like dancers who had practiced the same routine 1,000 times. Their clothes were perfect, their hair was perfect, and their faces showed no expression at all. Normal humans did not walk like that. Normal humans were not that perfect. Jake felt his muscles tense. After 3 months of waiting, something was finally happening. He reached under his jacket and touched the weapon hidden there. It looked like a simple knife, but it could cut through materials that did not exist on Earth. He hoped he would not need to use it in a room full of innocent people. The 3 men pushed through the glass doors. The first one was tall and thin, with gray hair and eyes that seemed to look right through people. The second was younger, but moved with the same strange grace. The third stayed by the door, probably to make sure no one left. Jake watched them scan the restaurant. Their eyes moved in patterns that reminded him of security cameras. When they looked at the mother and son, they stopped scanning. The tall man smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a shark that had found its prey. Jake knew he had to make a choice. He could stay hidden and watch what happened, gathering information for his report. Or he could break his cover and protect two people who had no idea they were in danger. The tall man started walking toward the mother and son. His footsteps made no sound on the tile floor. Other customers moved out of his way without seeming to notice they were doing it. It was like he had some kind of power that made people want to avoid him. The little boy looked up from his toys. For just a moment, his eyes met the stranger's eyes. The boy's face went pale, and he grabbed his mother's arm. "Mom," the boy whispered, but his voice carried across the restaurant in the sudden quiet. "Something's wrong with that man." The mother looked up, confused. She saw the well-dressed stranger approaching their table and probably thought he was just another customer. She had no way of knowing that her son's mixed heritage let him sense things that pure humans could not. Jake made his decision. He stood up from his corner booth, letting his homeless mask fall away. His shoulders straightened, his movements became sharp and controlled, and his eyes turned hard as steel. The man everyone thought was broken and helpless disappeared, replaced by something much more dangerous. It was time to find out what these visitors wanted with the boy. And it was time to show them that Earth had guardians they had not counted on. Jake stepped forward, ready for whatever came next. The tall man in the expensive suit reached the table where Lisa and her son Danny sat. He smiled down at them, but his smile was wrong. It was too wide, too perfect, like someone had drawn it on his face. His teeth were too white and too straight. "Hello." "There," the man said to Danny. His voice was smooth like honey, but underneath it was something else. Something that made the hair on Jake's arms stand up. "What a beautiful boy you are." Lisa looked up from her phone, startled. She saw the well-dressed stranger standing over their table and tried to smile politely. "Oh, hello. Can I help you with something?" The man ignored her completely. His eyes stayed locked on Danny, who had stopped playing with his toys. The boy's face was pale, and his small hands were shaking. "My name is Mr. Sterling," the man said, still looking only at Danny. "I have been looking for you for a very long time." Jake moved closer, staying quiet. His fake homeless walk was gone now. He moved like a soldier, careful and ready for anything. Other customers in the restaurant seemed to notice nothing strange. They kept eating their burgers and talking on their phones as if nothing unusual was happening. But something was very wrong. Jake could feel it in the air, like the feeling before a thunderstorm. His special device was buzzing so hard in his pocket that he could feel it against his leg. "I think you have the wrong people," Lisa said. She was getting nervous now. She put her arm around Danny's shoulders. "We should probably go." Mr. Sterling finally looked at her. When he did, Lisa's eyes went blank for a moment. She sat back in her chair and let her arm fall away from her son. Her face became empty, like someone had turned off a light inside her head. "You will sit," Mr. Sterling said to her in that honey-smooth voice. "You will not move. You will not speak." Lisa nodded slowly. She sat perfectly still, staring at nothing. Danny saw what happened to his mother and started to cry. "Mom? Mom? What's wrong?" But Lisa did not answer. She could not answer. Jake had seen enough. He walked up to their table and cleared his throat. "Excuse me," Jake said in a loud, clear voice. "I think you need to leave these people alone." Mr. Sterling turned to look at Jake. For just a second, surprise flashed across his perfect face. Then he smiled again, but the smile was different. The smile was dangerous. "Jake Matthews," Mr. Sterling said. "I was wondering when you would show yourself." The words hit Jake like a punch to the stomach. The stranger knew his name. His real name. That meant Jake's cover had been blown for. "Who knows how long?" "You know who I am," Jake said. It was not a question. "Of course I know who you are. You are Earth's guardian. The one they send when they want to keep us away from what belongs to us." Jake stepped closer to the table. Around them, the McDonald's continued to buzz with normal activity. Teenagers laughed at the next table. A baby cried near the play area. The workers behind the counter called out orders. It was like Jake and Mr. Sterling were invisible to everyone else. "The boy does not belong to you," Jake said. "He belongs here with his mother on his home planet." Mr. Sterling laughed and the sound made Jake's skin crawl. "Home planet? This child is not fully human, Jake Matthews. Surely you know that by now. His genetic markers show clear signs of Zephyrian heritage. That makes him our property under galactic law." "Earth is not part of your galactic law," Jake said. "We never signed your treaties. We never agreed to your rules." "That will change very soon," Mr. Sterling said. "Much sooner than you think." Danny was still crying, but quietly now. He looked back and forth between Jake and the strange man, not understanding what was happening, but knowing it was bad. His mother sat like a statue, not moving, not blinking. "What did you do to her?" Jake asked, nodding toward Lisa. "Nothing permanent. A simple neural dampener. She will be fine once we leave." "With the boy." "You are not taking the boy anywhere." Mr. Sterling's smile grew wider. "Are you going to stop me, Jake Matthews? Here, in front of all these innocent people?" Jake looked around the restaurant. There were at least 30 people eating, working, and playing. If a fight started here, they could all get hurt. But if he let Mr. Sterling take Danny, the boy would disappear forever. "You are afraid," Mr. Sterling said, reading Jake's hesitation. "You are afraid to act because you might hurt the humans you have sworn to protect. This is why your species will never survive what is coming." "What is coming?" Jake asked. "The harvest," Mr. Sterling said simply. "We have been watching your planet for many years, Jake Matthews. We have been finding the children like this one, the ones who carry our genetic legacy. Soon we will come to collect them all." Danny suddenly stopped crying. He looked up at Mr. Sterling with eyes that seemed older than his 8 years. "You are not my family," Danny said in a small but steady voice. "You are a liar." Mr. Sterling's perfect smile faltered for just a moment. "What did you say, child?" "I said you are a liar. You hurt my mom. My real family would never hurt my mom." Something strange happened then. The air around Danny began to shimmer, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. The Happy Meal toys on the table started to shake. The lights overhead flickered. Mr. Sterling took a step back. For the first time, he looked uncertain. "Impossible," he whispered. "The boy is too young. His ability should not be manifesting yet." Jake felt a surge of hope. Maybe Danny was more than just a victim. Maybe he was something the aliens had not expected. "Danny," Jake said gently, "can you wake up your mom?" The boy looked at Jake with those two old eyes. "I can try." Danny reached out and touched his mother's hand. The shimmer in the air grew stronger. Lisa blinked once, then again. Color returned to her face. "Danny," she said, confused. "What happened?" "I feel like I was sleeping." Mr. Sterling snarled, and for a moment his perfect human face slipped. Jake caught a glimpse of something else. Underneath, something with too many teeth and eyes that glowed like fire. "This is not over," Mr. Sterling said. "The boy comes with us, one way or another." "Over my dead body," Jake said. That Mr. Sterling's human mask slipped back into place. He smiled his terrible smile. "That can be arranged." The two other men in suits started walking toward their table. Jake reached under his jacket and gripped his hidden weapon. Around them, the normal world continued on, unaware that the fate of a small boy and possibly the entire planet was about to be decided in a McDonald's on 5th Street. The two other men in suits moved through the McDonald's like wolves closing in on their prey. They did not push past customers or make any noise, but somehow people stepped out of their way without even looking up from their food. It was like the men had an invisible force around them that made humans want to avoid them. Jake pulled his weapon from under his jacket. To anyone watching, it looked like an old kitchen knife with a worn handle. But Jake knew better. The blade was made from metal that did not exist on Earth, sharp enough to cut through anything the aliens might be wearing for protection. "Lisa," Jake said quietly, not taking his eyes off Mr. Sterling, "I need you to take Danny and walk slowly to the bathroom. Lock the door and do not come out no matter what you hear." Lisa looked confused and scared. "What is happening? Who are these people?" "I will explain later," Jake said. "Right now you need to trust me and get your son to safety." Danny tugged on his mother's sleeve. "Mom, we should listen to him. The bad men want to hurt us." Lisa looked down at her son, then at Jake, then at Mr. Sterling, who was still smiling his terrible smile. Something in her mother's instinct told her that Danny was right. These well-dressed men were dangerous. "Okay," she whispered. "Come on, Danny." They started to stand up, but Mr. Sterling raised his hand. "I do not think so," he said. His voice carried that strange honey-smooth quality again. "You will sit back down. You will bring the boy to me." Lisa's eyes started to go blank again, just like before. But this time, Danny grabbed her hand. "No," the boy shouted. "Leave my mom alone." The lights in the McDonald's flickered wildly. The soda machine behind the counter started making grinding noises. Several customers looked around, confused, but they still seemed unable to focus on what was happening at Jake's table. Mr. Sterling's perfect face twisted with anger. "Impossible. The boy should not be able to resist our neural commands." "Maybe you do not know as much about humans as you think," Jake said. He stepped between Mr. Sterling and the family. The two other aliens were getting closer, moving through the crowd of oblivious customers. Jake knew he had maybe 30 seconds before they surrounded him. "Danny," Jake said without turning around. "Can you keep your mom awake?" "I think so," the boy said. His voice was shaky but determined. "It hurts, but I can do it." "Good. When I say run, you and your mom go straight to the bathroom and lock the door. Do not come out until I come to get you." Mr. Sterling laughed. "You think you can fight all three of us, Jake Matthews? You think your primitive human weapons can harm us? Let us find out," Jake said. The first alien reached them then, coming up on Jake's left side. He looked like a normal businessman, but when he reached for Jake, his fingers were too long and moved in ways that human joints could not bend. Jake spun and slashed with his knife. The blade cut through the alien's suit jacket and whatever was underneath. The creature screamed, and the sound was like nails on a chalkboard mixed with a cat being stepped on. Black liquid that might have been blood splattered on the floor. The injured alien stumbled backward, clutching his arm. Where Jake's knife had cut him, his human disguise flickered like a broken television. For just a moment, customers nearby could see what he really looked like. Several people screamed. A teenage girl dropped her phone. An old man stood up fast he knocked over his chair. "Run!" Jake shouted to Lisa and Danny. The mother grabbed her son's hand and they rushed toward the bathroom area. Jake saw them disappear around the corner and felt a moment of relief. The second alien was on him now, moving faster than any human could move. Jake rolled to the side, using the McDonald's tables and chairs as obstacles. The alien crashed into a table full of teenagers, sending food and drinks flying everywhere. Now, people were really starting to panic. Someone screamed, "Fight!" And several customers pulled out their phones to record what they thought was just two crazy people causing trouble. Mr. Sterling stood in the middle of the chaos, perfectly calm. "You are only making this harder on yourself, Jake Matthews. We will have the boy eventually. Why not save these innocent people the trauma?" Jake dodged another attack from the second alien. This one was trying to grab him instead of hurt him, probably hoping to use the same mind control trick they had tried on Lisa. "Because that boy is under my protection," Jake said, "and I do not give up." He feinted left, then spun right, bringing his knife up in a quick arc. The blade caught the second alien across the chest. More of that black liquid splashed on the floor, and the alien's human disguise flickered just like the first one's had. Woman near the counter saw the alien's true face for just a moment and fainted. Her friend caught her and started dragging her toward the exit. Other customers were pushing toward the doors now, trying to get out of the restaurant. "Stop," Jake called to them. "Do not go outside. It is not safe." But they could not hear him over their own panic and fear. Mr. Sterling walked closer, stepping carefully around the spilled food and drinks. "Your concern for these humans will be your weakness, Jake Matthews. We do not care about their lives. We only want what belongs to us." "Danny does not belong to you," Jake said. "He belongs here with his family." "His family?" Mr. Sterling laughed again. "Do you know what his family really is, Jake Matthews? Do you know why the boy can resist our commands?" Jake kept his knife ready, watching both injured aliens as they circled him like wounded animals. "Why do not you tell me?" "The boy's great-grandmother was taken from Earth 60 years ago. She was one of our research subjects. When we were finished with our experiments, we returned her to your planet, but she carried our genetic material. The boy is our property by right of creation." The words hit Jake like a physical blow. Danny was not just part alien by accident. He was part of some long-term plan. "You have been planning this for 60 years?" Jake asked. "Longer than that," Mr. Sterling said. "We have been seeding your population with our genetics for over a century. Soon, there will be thousands of children like Danny, an entire generation of human-alien hybrids ready for harvest." "Harvest for what?" Mr. Sterling's smile grew even wider and more terrible. "For war, Jake Matthews. A war that will determine the fate of every inhabited world in this galaxy. And your precious Earth is about to become our recruitment center." The bathroom door opened and Danny peeked out. "Mr. Jake? Are you okay? Stay back," Jake shouted, but it was too late. Mr. Sterling saw the boy and his eyes lit up like fire. "There you are, child. Time to come home." He raised both hands and the air on Danny began to shimmer with the same strange energy Jake had seen before. But this time, it was not coming from the boy. It was coming from Mr. Sterling, and it was much, much stronger. The air around Danny started to glow with a sickly green light. The boy tried to step back into the bathroom, but his feet would not move. It was like invisible chains were holding him in place. His eyes went wide with fear. "Danny!" Lisa screamed from behind the bathroom door. She was pulling on her son's arm, trying to drag him back to safety, but some force was keeping him frozen in the doorway. Mr. Sterling's hands glowed with the same green light that surrounded Danny. His perfect human face was changing, becoming longer and sharper. His teeth grew into fangs, and his eyes turned completely black. "Finally," Mr. Sterling said, his voice now deeper and more frightening. "No more pretending to be human. No more hiding what we really are." Jake knew he had to act fast. The two aliens he had wounded were getting back on their feet, their black blood still dripping on the McDonald's floor. In a few seconds, all three of them would be attacking at once, but Jake had one advantage that the aliens did not know about. He was not just a soldier or a spy. He was something much more dangerous. Jake reached into his jacket again, but this time he did not pull out a weapon. Instead, he pulled out a small silver device that looked like a hearing aid. He pressed it into his ear and felt the familiar tingle as it connected with his nervous system. Suddenly, everything changed. Jake could see the energy fields that the aliens were using. He could see the invisible force holding Danny in place. Most important of all, he could see the weakness in Mr. Sterling's power. The device in Jake's ear was human technology, but it was built from studying alien equipment that had been captured over the years. It let Jake see and fight on the same level as his enemies. "You want to know what makes humans special?" Jake said to Mr. Sterling. "We learn. We adapt. We take your own technology and make it work for us." Jake moved faster than he had ever moved before. The device in his ear was boosting his reflexes and strength. He jumped over a table and landed right in front of Mr. Sterling, the alien leader. Snarled and tried to grab Jake with those two long fingers. But Jake was ready for him. He ducked under the attack and drove his knife straight into Mr. Sterling's chest. The blade went deep, and Mr. Sterling screamed. The green light around Danny flickered and went out. The boy stumbled backward into his mother's arms. "Impossible," Mr. Sterling gasped. "Human technology cannot harm us." "This is not just human technology," Jake said. "This is your technology. We took it from the last group of aliens who tried to invade Earth. We studied it, improved it, and made it our own." The other two aliens charged at Jake together. But with the device boosting his abilities, Jake was like a different person. He moved like lightning, his knife cutting through their defenses. More black blood splattered across the restaurant floor. Around them, the few remaining customers were screaming and running for the exits. The McDonald's workers had abandoned their posts and were hiding in the kitchen. Only Jake, the aliens, and Danny's family were left in the main dining area. Mr. Sterling pulled Jake's knife out of his chest and threw it aside. The wound was bleeding that black liquid, but he was still standing. "You think you have won?" Mr. Sterling said. "You think defeating us here will save your planet?" "It is a start," Jake said. "Foolish human. We are not the invasion force. We are just the scouts. The real fleet is already on its way to Earth. Millions of ships carrying billions of warriors." Jake felt his stomach drop. He had been so focused on protecting Danny that he had not thought about the bigger picture. "When?" Jake asked. "Soon," Mr. Sterling said. "Very soon. And when our fleet arrives, we will not just take the hybrid children. We will take everything. Your planet will become our new home, and your species will become our slaves." Danny stepped out from behind his mother. The 8-year-old boy looked tiny compared to the wounded alien, but there was something different about him now. His eyes were glowing with a soft blue light. "You are wrong," Danny said. His voice sounded older than his years. "You will not take our planet." Mr. Sterling laughed, but it was a weak sound. "What can one small hybrid child do against an entire fleet?" "I am not alone," Danny said. The boy raised his hands, and suddenly the air in the McDonald's was filled with voices. They were human voices, but they were speaking in ways that normal humans could not. They were speaking with their minds. Jake's device let him understand what was happening. Danny was not just talking to other hybrid children. He was connecting with all of them at once, all across the planet. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. "The hybrid children," Jake whispered. "They can communicate with each other." "We have been waiting," Danny said, still speaking in that too old voice. "Waiting for someone to try to take us away from our families. Now we know what we have to do." Mr. Sterling's black eyes went wide with something that might have been fear. "The children cannot access their full abilities yet. They are too young." "Together, we are not too young," Danny said. The lights in the McDonald's began to flicker again, but this time it was different. The flickering was in a pattern, like a code. Jake realized that every electronic device in the building was being affected. The cash registers, the soda machines, the fryers in the kitchen, even the cars in the parking lot. "What are they doing?" Jake asked. Danny looked at him with those glowing blue eyes. "We are sending a message." To everyone who needs to know that Earth is not defenseless. Through the windows, Jake could see that the streetlights outside were flickering in the same pattern. In the distance, he could see the lights of other buildings doing the same thing. Mr. Sterling tried to stand up straighter, but the wound in his chest was getting worse. You cannot stop what is coming. Our fleet will arrive whether you warn your people or not. Maybe, Danny said. But now our people will be ready, and we will help them fight. The boy looked at Jake. Mr. Jake, you need to take me and my mom somewhere safe. There are people who need to know what we learned today. Jake nodded. He picked up his knife and wiped the black blood off the blade. The two wounded aliens were still alive, but they were too hurt to fight anymore. What about them? Jake asked, pointing at the aliens. Leave them, Danny said. They need to report back to their fleet. They need to tell their leaders that the hybrid children are not going to help them. We are going to help humanity instead. Mr. Sterling snarled, but he was too weak to do anything about it. This is not over, child. We will be back. Yes, Danny said calmly. But when you come back, we will be waiting for you. Jake helped Lisa to her feet. She was shaking and confused, but she was holding her son's hand tightly. I do not understand any of this, she said. What is happening to Danny? What are those things? I will explain everything, Jake promised. But first, we need to get out of here. There are people I need to call, and Danny needs to be somewhere safe while we figure out what to do next. As they walked toward the exit, Danny looked back at the wounded aliens one more time. Tell your fleet something for me, the boy said. Tell them that Earth's children are ready to protect their home. The McDonald's doors closed behind them as they stepped out into the night. Above them, the stars seemed brighter than usual, as if the universe itself was watching to see what would happen next. Jake led Lisa and Danny to his car, which was parked 3 blocks away from the McDonald's. It looked like an old beat-up sedan that barely ran, but like everything else about Jake, it was not what it seemed. The engine was military-grade. The windows were bulletproof, and the radio could connect to satellites that most people did not know existed. As they drove through the city streets, Jake watched the lights around them. Street lamps, traffic signals, and building lights were all flickering in the same pattern that had started in the McDonald's. Danny's message was spreading across the entire city, maybe across the whole country. Danny, Jake said, looking at the boy in his rearview mirror. Are you still connected to the other children? The boy nodded. His eyes were not glowing anymore, but Jake could tell he was concentrating hard on something. There are so many of us, Danny said quietly. I never knew there were so many. How many? Jake asked. Thousands, all over the world. Some are older than me, some are younger, but we can all hear each other now. Lisa was sitting in the passenger seat, holding Danny's hand. She still looked confused and scared. Jake, I need you to tell me what is happening. What are those things back there? Why do they want my son? Jake had been dreading this conversation, but he knew Lisa deserved the truth. The men in the restaurant were not human. They are aliens from another planet. They have been coming to Earth for a long time, taking people and doing experiments on them. Experiments? Lisa's voice was barely a whisper. Your grandmother, Lisa, did she ever tell you about being sick when she was young? About missing time or strange dreams? Lisa's face went pale. How do you know about that? She used to have nightmares. She said that sometimes she would wake up in places she did not remember going to, but that was just. She was old, her memory was not good. It was not her memory, Jake said gently. The aliens took her, did things to her, and then brought her back, but they left something behind. Something in her DNA that got passed down to your family. To Danny, Lisa said, understanding. Yes, Danny is part human and part alien. That is why he can do things that other children cannot do. That is why those creatures wanted him. Lisa was quiet for a long time. Jake could see her trying to process everything she had learned. Finally, she spoke again. You said there are others like him, other children. Thousands of them, Jake said. The aliens have been planning this for a very long time. They wanted to create an army of human-alien hybrids that they could control. But something went wrong with their plan. What went wrong? Danny asked from the backseat. Jake smiled at the boy in the mirror. You grew up human, Danny. You learned to love your family, to care about other people, to want to protect your home. The aliens thought they could control you, but they forgot something important about humans. What? Danny asked. We do not like being told what to do, especially when someone threatens our family. Jake's radio crackled to life. A woman's voice came through the speakers, speaking in code that Lisa and Danny would not understand, but that Jake knew very well. Guardian 7, this is Control. We are seeing unusual electromagnetic activity across multiple cities. Can you confirm the source? Jake picked up the radio microphone. Control, this is Guardian 7. I can confirm the source. The hybrid children have activated. They are communicating with each other on a global scale. Copy that, Guardian 7. We need you to bring your package to the safe house immediately. The situation is escalating faster than we anticipated. What situation? Jake asked. Long-range sensors are detecting multiple large objects approaching the solar system. Estimated arrival time is 72 hours. Jake felt his blood turn cold. The alien fleet was coming much sooner than Mr. Sterling had suggested. They had 3 days to prepare for an invasion. Copy, Control. En route to safe house now. Jake hung up the radio and pressed harder on the gas pedal. The car shot forward, its hidden engine showing its true power. What was that about? Lisa asked. The alien fleet is coming, Jake said. We have 3 days before they get here. Danny leaned forward in his seat. Mr. Jake, the other children are scared. They can feel the big ships coming. What are we going to do? Jake turned onto a highway that led out of the city. We are going to fight, Danny, but not the way the aliens expect us to. 20 minutes later, they pulled up to what looked like an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. But when Jake pressed a button on his dashboard, a section of the building slid open to reveal a hidden entrance. They drove inside, and the door closed behind them. Lisa gasped when she saw what was inside the warehouse. It was not abandoned at all. It was full of people working at computers, studying maps, and talking on radios. There were screens showing satellite images and charts that tracked objects moving through space. It looked like something from a science fiction movie. A woman in a military uniform walked up to their car as they got out. She had short gray hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see everything. Guardian 7, she said to Jake. I am Commander Brooks. We have been expecting you, Commander, Jake said. This is Lisa Porter and her son Danny. Danny is one of the hybrids. Commander Brooks looked down at Danny with interest. Hello, Danny. We have been hearing about you. The other children say you are the one who helped them all connect. Danny looked shy suddenly. I just wanted to talk to them. I did not know it would make all the lights blink. That light blinking might save our planet, Commander Brooks said. Come with me. There are some people who want to meet you. They walked deeper into the warehouse, past rows of computers and people working frantically. Commander Brooks led them to a room with a big table covered in maps and photographs. Danny, Commander Brooks said, we need your help. The alien fleet that is coming has millions of ships. Earth's military is strong, but we are not strong enough to fight them alone. What can I do? Danny asked. I am just a kid. You are not just a kid, Commander Brooks said. You are the bridge between humans and the technology we need to defend ourselves. The other hybrid children around the world, they all look up to you now. If you can help them work together, they might be able to do something amazing. Jake knelt down next to Danny. Remember what you did in the McDonald's? When you connected with all the other children? You showed them that they did not have to be afraid, that they could fight back. But fighting those 3 aliens is different from fighting millions of ships, Danny said. Yes, it is, Commander Brooks said. But you would not be fighting the ships directly. You would be helping us understand the alien technology, helping us use their own weapons against them. Danny looked at his mother, who squeezed his hand. Encouragingly, the other children, Danny said slowly. They are ready to help. They do not want the aliens to hurt their families either. Good, Commander Brooks said. Because we are going to need all the help we can get. She led them to a window that looked out over another part of the warehouse. Outside, they could see construction crews working on something massive and metallic. What is that? Lisa asked. Commander Brooks smiled for the first time since they had met her. That, Mrs. Porter, is humanity's secret weapon. We call it the Unity Defense System. And with Danny's help, it might just save us all. Danny stared out at the enormous machine being built in the warehouse. Will it really work? I do not know, Commander Brooks said honestly, but I know one thing for sure. The aliens are about to learn that taking over Earth is not going to be as easy as they thought. Outside the warehouse, the stars seemed to be moving, but they were not stars. They were ships, getting closer every hour, carrying an army that wanted to claim Earth as their own. But Earth was ready to fight back. And they had something the aliens had never encountered before. Combined power of human determination and alien technology, united by children who refused to be anyone's weapons except their own. 72 hours later, the sky above Earth turned dark with alien ships. There were so many of them that they blocked out the sun. People all over the world looked up and saw the massive fleet hanging over their cities like storm clouds made of metal and death. Danny was not looking at the sky. He was sitting in a special chair inside the Unity Defense System, surrounded by screens and wires that connected him to hybrid children all around the planet. His eyes were closed, but he could see everything that was happening through the network of young minds that had become Earth's greatest weapon. Danny, Commander Brooks said through the speakers around him, the alien ships are starting to move. Are you ready? Danny opened his eyes and nodded. We are all ready, Commander. The other children are in position. Jake stood nearby, no longer disguised as a homeless man. He wore the uniform of Earth's Defense Force, and his job was to protect Danny while the boy did something that had never been tried before. For 3 days, Danny and the other hybrid children had been learning to use their abilities together. They had discovered that when they connected their minds, they could do incredible things. They could control electronic devices from thousands of miles away. They could see through alien technology as if it were made of glass. Most importantly, they could turn the aliens' own weapons against them. The Unity Defense System was built from pieces of alien ships that had crashed on Earth over the years. Human scientists had studied the technology for decades, but they could never make it work properly. It took children with alien DNA to unlock its secrets. Incoming transmission from the alien fleet, a technician announced. A giant screen in front of Danny lit up, showing the face of an alien leader. It was not Mr. Sterling, but something much worse. The creature had 4 arms, skin like black metal, and eyes that glowed red like fire. People of Earth, the alien leader said in a voice like grinding metal. I am War Commander Vex of the Zephian Empire. Your planet now belongs to us. Surrender your hybrid children, and we will allow some of you to live as our slaves. Danny stood up from his chair and walked to the screen. Even though he was only 8 years old, he looked Commander Vex in the eyes without fear. My name is Danny Porter, the boy said. I speak for all the hybrid children of Earth. We will not surrender. We will not be your weapons, and we will not let you hurt our families. Commander Vex laughed, and the sound was like breaking glass. Foolish child, you are outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1. What can a few hybrid children do against the might of our empire? Danny smiled, and suddenly every screen in the alien fleet began to flicker. Not just the main ships, but every single vessel in the massive armada. Lights blinked on and off in patterns that spelled out a message in every language the aliens knew. The message was simple: go home. Impossible, Commander Vex snarled. Our systems are protected. No one can breach our networks. You made us from human and Zephyrian DNA, Danny said. That means we understand both technologies. We know how your ships work because part of us is Zephyrian. But we also know how to think like humans, how to be creative and unpredictable. You taught us to be the perfect bridge between your technology and ours. Across the planet, the other hybrid children were doing their part. Sarah Kim in Tokyo was controlling the alien ship's navigation systems, making them fly in circles. Marcus Johnson in London had taken over their weapons, pointing the guns away from Earth. Elena Santos in Mexico City was flooding their communications with human music, making it impossible for the aliens to coordinate their attack. Commander Vex's red eyes burned brighter. Clever children. But you cannot control all of our ships at once. And when we land our ground forces, your tricks will not save you. You are right, Danny said. We cannot control all of your ships, but we do not need to. The boy pressed his hand against a panel on the Unity defense system. Immediately, every hybrid child on Earth felt the connection grow stronger. Their combined power flowed through the alien technology that humans had collected and studied for decades. We only need to control one ship, Danny said. Your command ship. Commander Vex's face changed from anger to fear as he realized what was happening. The massive command vessel at the center of the alien fleet began to turn away from Earth. Its weapons powered down. Its shields dropped. Stop this, Commander Vex roared. You do not understand what you are doing. We understand perfectly. Danny said, we are sending you a message that will be heard across the galaxy. Earth is not helpless. Earth is not alone. And Earth will fight back. Jake watched the screens showing the alien fleet. The command ship was now flying directly toward the other vessels, its weapons charging up again. But this time, the weapons were pointing at the Zephyrian ships instead of Earth. Danny, Jake said quietly, are you sure about this? The boy looked at him with eyes that seemed much older than 8 years. The aliens have been bullying other planets for thousands of years, Mr. Jake. Someone has to show the galaxy that they can be stopped. The command ship opened fire on the Zephyrian fleet. Explosions bloomed in space like deadly flowers. Other alien vessels tried to fight back, but their systems were still under the control of hybrid children who knew exactly how to turn their own technology against them. Within an hour, half the alien fleet was destroyed or disabled. The surviving ships were retreating as fast as they could fly, carrying the news that Earth was not the easy target they had expected. Commander Vex appeared on the screen one last time, his perfect command ship now drifting powerless in space. This is not over, hybrid children, he said. We will return with ships you cannot control, weapons you cannot understand. Danny shook his head. No, you will not. Because we are going to tell every planet in the galaxy what happened here today. We are going to teach them how to fight back against you. Your empire is built on fear and slavery, but we just proved that it can be defeated. The transmission ended. Commander Vex and his broken fleet disappeared into deep space, carrying word of their defeat back to the Zephyrian Empire. In the warehouse, everyone was cheering and hugging each other. Earth had won its first interstellar war without firing a single human weapon. Commander Brooks walked up to Danny and saluted him. Thank you, son. You saved our planet. Danny looked around at all the celebrating adults, then at Jake, who was smiling proudly at him. I could not have done it alone, Danny said. The other hybrid children, Mr. Jake, my mom, everyone who helped, we did it together. That is what makes humans special. We take care of each other. Lisa hugged her son tightly. So what happens? Now, Jake knelt down next to Danny. Now we get ready for the next adventure. Because the galaxy just learned that Earth has guardians, and I have a feeling we are going to be very busy. Danny grinned and looked up at the sky where the last of the alien ships were disappearing among the stars. Let them come, the 8-year-old boy said. We will be ready. Above them, the sun came out from behind the clouds, shining down on a planet that was no longer alone in the universe. Earth had announced itself to the galaxy not as a victim, but as a defender. And every world that had suffered under alien oppression now knew that somewhere among the stars, there was a planet called Earth, where children could defeat empires and love could triumph over fear. The age of humanity among the stars had begun.